All right. Anyhow, we are live finally.
Woo!
2019 first episode for me.
Wow!
Happy New Year!
Yes, Happy New Year as well, Shin. So super excited. A lot of you guys are asking us to get these guys in studio.
What?
Yes, Hot VW's in the house finally. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for
Shin,
having us.
Eddie. I mean, it's I'm stoked. Of course.
Yeah.
This trusty sidekick.
The most famous
the
dog.
most famous pug around.
I know, seriously.
But, lots to cover, lots to go over, some really cool things. And just shoot the breeze, man. Everybody's asking us and sending us DMs. I mean, that's what I can't stress enough to, like, what you guys do. It's like, we get asked. I was like, you guys want to know? Call them up. Because we got the office. They're local. But,
I know.
There's always seemed like daily Shin's posting up somebody in there visiting and whatnot. But
And it's funny because, yesterday, in fact, there was a guy that was actually driving through the neighborhood, and at first I thought he knew who we were. He was looking through the blinds, and he came in and he said, "What do you guys do here?" Well, I go, "Well, we're a publication. Come on in." And he said, "Oh, I'm working on a bay window." He had never heard of, so many places that, from the industry.
Wow.
And I said, "Really?" And I said, "How long have you had your bus?" And it wasn't
Almost 20 years?
yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, "Where do you live?" And he said, "Orange." I said, "You live in the Mecca of VW, and really?" Yeah.
So he kind of gives you a chance to reflect. It's like either A, he lives in the Rock, or B, we're doing a really, really bad job.
I know.
It's
I
like,
know.
all right, Shin, you're the boss. I'm sorry, but we're doing fantastic, right? We'll go with it.
Yeah. But no, that's how open we are, though, that anybody can come by and actually check it out. One of the really cool things is that if you actually do get a chance to come by, we've got back issues going way back.
Yeah, since the beginning, to the latest issues, we have all archives. So always welcome
really
to
cool.
stop by.
So,
I was able to glimpse at some of the racking right there and just some of the good stuff that you guys stashed.
Only one thing you have to do is to take photograph with my puppies.
Yeah, that was like a moment for me. I was able to grace the Instagram of Hobby Dubs and take a picture with the beast.
Yeah.
So
it's so cool.
But man, lots to go over, lots of stuff that we, even myself, we haven't been able to do a podcast just for timing. So, hang tight. We're gonna go over a couple things just for us, some housekeeping rules and whatnot. First, SEMA. We haven't even really talked since SEMA for us.
We didn't get a chance to go. We were out of the country, so that's our excuse.
And we will talk about the Indonesia trip because that was what was a limiting factor. Because the invite was there, we just couldn't work it out.
Yeah.
But SEMA was off the hook for us, and we did another announcement.
Awesome booth, by the way.
Thank you.
Awesome booth.
Thank you.
We saw pictures of it when we were over there, and I'm like,
I gotta give you a couple bucks for that one.
No, dude, it was really cool.
That was
especially limited time too. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a really fun project for me. That was kind of just something I had a lot of fun working on, and to create and to being the modular. So some of the people saw it, they were at SEMA, and then when we took that booth to PRI, it was a total different configuration.
Wow.
So it goes like at SEMA, it's 16 feet tall, 20 feet by 20 feet, with a huge 20-foot squared aerial into a 10-foot tall, 20 feet wide, 5 feet deep booth with just a face like the front of a store.
I didn't see that one.
So it's it was just a really fun experience. I call it the Empi garage because that was the whole feel of it.
That's what it looked like.
But the place was packed. We had a fantastic artist on staff. We had Rob Pryor. Shout out to Rob Pryor. A fantastic artist, known for painting two-handed with his eyes closed, 2 pictures at once. If I remember correctly, next week he's in Las Vegas with Aerosmith on stage doing some crazy artwork. So this dude is amazing. He's got a studio in Hollywood. We're going up there next week to go see him again. But I encourage anybody, just go up and check him out.
Very cool.
SEMA was off the hook. 034 acquisition was formally announced there. Tons of stuff with Jack and what we're going on there. And then the second booth that we had featured Ashland's car in it, and let her do some autograph signings over there and get loaded with products. So
that's such a cool car, man.
Yeah, just good people, man.
Yeah.
Good driver. She's back-to-back champion. And then
sorry to cut you off, man. It's interesting when you talk about Ashland. It was kind of neat when Drag Day had just happened, a little while ago. I got a chance to go out there and check it out, but I took my daughter with me, and she's 10, and it was so cool when she saw Ashland. I said, "You want to meet her?" And she said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." And we passed by, where they were actually tuning on the car, and it's so cool. It goes back to Volkswagen people and how down to earth, Volkswagen people can be. And they're not all full of themselves, and it was cool to go and have her stand there, and it's neat. When you're a kid, you think about, oh man, I remember when I was into BMX and I went and stood next to Stu Thompson and got a picture taken and stuff. It was really cool. So, kudos that you guys are cheering her on and backing her up and stuff.
No, I mean it comes from great lineage, right? As far as Jack's one of the best guys in the industry as far as humble and give your shirt off his back and helpful, and he's done the same for Ashlyn and continue on. And the competitiveness and blood runs deep in that one. I'll tell you that right now. So just being able to spend a little time with her on the podcast. I mean, and then I don't know if you guys don't follow her on social media at Ashlyn _Siketti, but when she did her flashback of what she did in 2019 and some of the places she's been, I was like, golly, I did a lot of stuff in 2018. It kind of was a blur in between Belgium and Buggin and I mean just everywhere and all the different things we were doing. It's just and everywhere you guys were there. So like,
yeah, I'm trying.
This guy,
this
guy's going all the time, man.
It's like that's where for us to kind of just throw this together like we did and be able to get it to happen. Again, I can't thank you enough. It's truly an honor to sit down for an hour with you guys and just talk about the little car that we all love.
Yeah.
So we went into PRI and had a blast there, and really one of the things that we're taking out of PRI, first of all, was the first time we've ever done it, and to have a VW company essentially at PRI where people are like, man, I got more stories about my old bug than anybody else will ever see.
People always have stories.
But it was just really neat to see the passion is still there and the crossover is still what's being done outside of our little sphere, or the mecca, as you like to call it earlier. So it was a lot of fun. And it allowed us to partner with some really great big companies for us to release some new product in this year. So
that's cool.
Stay tuned. A lot of more stuff coming up on that one. But
that is cool.
Awesome.
Dude, what's new? Let's talk about Hot V-Dubs and
right.
What's new and exciting. I know you guys were in Indonesia. I mean, you were at one of the trips that besides Indonesia, I mean, everybody seems to have gone. It was in the industry. Was the Headmuller tour, like that had to be amazing.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing. Yeah, last August. Yeah, actually the Kraus Headmuller and rest of Headmuller family organized that Headmuller only event.
Wow.
So we got 33 Headmuller Volkswagen plus I think almost 20 Headmuller coach built other rest of another cars. So that was something you don't see often. So I fly up over to Germany, the Düsseldorf there, and just wonderful event. And the crazy things happened at the end was I got opportunity to go inside the Headmuller factory, still buildings there, just recently sold somebody else, and they plan to tear down the building. So we just wanted to take the picture, the front of the building, bring two Headmuller, just take the snapshot, and property manager came over there. Oh, that's a big problem, so we're gonna be kicked out. But actually, what wonderful thing is that they invite us to bring the car to go inside the property. So we put the two Headmuller front of the old building. We take some picture, and even we go inside, buildings, and just unbelievable event. And we had like a six or seven people with all people stand up the front of the original entrance door. So we did take the snapshot, and that was one of my lifetime Volkswagen experience. So that was unbelievable.
So cool.
For a true enthusiast, that's like the fatherland. I mean, essentially, right?
I know. It's insane. What's interesting, and I like putting them on the spot. How many pictures did you take on that trip?
I think 12,000, 13,000, something.
Yeah. When we go somewhere and I watch them take pictures, I'm blown away by just it's like.
Does the finger ever come off?
Yeah,
I
always
change the
picture.
battery.
Yeah. I just don't want to take miss anything. Just
I thought I took 2,300 and I think 19 photos at EVI, and that's like a lifetime for me.
That's a lot of photos.
And
you got to look at them.
To hear 12,000, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, and it's funny, and obviously we didn't talk about this, this is all off the cuff, but Shin and I, we've had the chance to travel around the world, and, we'll share a room at times, and I'll see this guy, he's the last thing I see sitting, in front of his computer, and when we were in Indonesia, he fell asleep with his laptop at his feet, looking at all these pictures, and I'm just going, later, dude. I'm like, wow, wow.
One day he's gonna end up in that delete
this
button
dude's
when he falls
committed.
down.
So it is cool.
Yeah, I just have to document everything, even what I'm eating.
Even what he
during the
eats,
travel.
everything he takes a picture of, dude.
If you're not friends with him or follow him on Facebook, I encourage you, because you'll know when the dog eats a In-N-Out patty or 10-foot Doug's yelling something crazy to you.
No, I know. You know what's cool though, and it's funny. I mean, like I've been into Volkswagens for a long time. I'm primarily a bus guy. I love buses, but I mean, I love Volkswagens, and I think one of the coolest things, especially being part of Hot VWs, is what is uncovered and what we still haven't discovered. And like yesterday, I was asking him. We were just closing up the March issue, and it was interesting because I was reading about a car, and I've always heard about an 11G, being a sunroof car, and then I was reading about the 11C, but then we brought up the fact that no one has still known what a 12.
There is a 12G.
Yeah, and nobody, which is crazy. I mean, there are so many people in the Volkswagen industry, that know so much, historians. But no one's ever been able to nail down what that is significant of. So it's really cool. That's one of the things that I love about the hobby. I love the people, and I love the friendships and everything that come out of it. But the history, man, it's so rich.
Still learning something every day.
Yeah, and that's
so cool.
That's really, and I know I've talked about this thing, and sometimes I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but the EBI trip for me this last year was so eye-opening and really it made me fall back in love, because it's a love-hate relationship with these cars at times, let's be honest. But it fell back in love with not just the car but the community. Though the dinner itself and the speech that they gave,
That's cool.
And what resonates with me is that all these people that are our friends from around the globe congregate every other year in a little place called Belgium, and we break bread together and we talk about life, and
right.
we share the ups and the downs, and we share everything about it, and sometimes tears are shed, sometimes not, and sometimes you're getting liquored up with a couple of old guys from Orange County, and you have a good time. But that's the what that little car represents. That's what provides for my family and everything that we do, and it just speaks volumes to really what this hobby's about.
It's interesting, and I don't know if you want to get into it now, but the trip to Indonesia, one of the pinnacle moments for me was the fact that we were going to be going on this long trek. First of all, it took us 31 hours to get there. Okay, just flights and layovers and stuff. And compression socks, so handy. Dude, it was great. But it was interesting that the day that we got there, first of all, everybody, the people, unbelievable. The hospitality, incredible. The food, amazing. But the morning that we were all going to embark on this caravan to go to Jogja for the 2019 Jogja Volkswagen Festival, that morning it was interesting to see so many different people, different religious backgrounds, different parts of the world, and everybody coming together and everybody there for one thing. And the one person said, hey, you know what, we're all from different parts of the world, different beliefs, but we're all going to go ahead and wish each other a safe trip. We're all going to get there safely, and we're all going to go ahead and come together as a family and have fun. And it was awesome. We broke down a few times. We were in a 53 barn door, and there were so many cars. It was amazing. Yeah. No, this guy was flying in this thing, and I'm like, this is 25 horses. I've been in a lot of buses, and I've gone pretty quick in a lot of cars, and this is one of the few times that I was nervous and actually in fear that something bad's gonna happen. But we were rolling tape on the whole thing, man. So, but yeah, it was anyway. It turned into a 14-hour trek. 14-hour
We
trek.
drove like a 500 miles or something.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. So yeah,
That's what's interesting is how far some of these events people are, not just out of the country events. And I'm gonna go out, traveling back east a few times. I mean, there's people are loading up and jumping in their stuff for 4, 5, 6, 8 hours to get to an event.
Yeah.
And we've got three things going on in our backyard, and we're barely, getting,
I know.
Oh, it's might rain, or it's only 65 degrees outside, it's too cold. And
It's funny though. I remember for the longest time, I've worked for Disney as well, and I remember driving my bus. It'd be rainy. It was a 1960 panel bus. No longer have it. But I remember no radio, no gas gauge, and it actually water came through the fresh air vent and actually dripped on me. And somebody asked me one day, many years ago, "Why do you drive that thing?" And I said, the coolest part is that it actually slows my life down for me. I mean, I'm always busy. I'm always on the go doing things. But when you're in a Volkswagen without a radio or anything like that, you're going slow enough that you see the homes go by. You actually hear the motor. You can actually hear yourself thinking. And it's so cool. And so it's funny when you talk about people going on long treks. I remember it took my wife when she was pregnant. I didn't tell her we were going to the Colorado River and how far we were going, and she still holds it against me. But it was in a 71 Westie. But it was really cool. My son was riding shotgun, and it was really neat. And it was an opportunity to talk. And that's something that these cars actually they offer you an opportunity to go ahead and create these memories. I mean, I'm certainly not going to create very many memories in a QX50. No thanks.
That's some of my fondest childhood memories is rolling around in the back of my dad's 54 Oval going to Sacramento or something.
You still have it?
I wish he still had. I wish he still had several cars that he's had
That's
through the year.
cool.
Yeah, but I mean, no
The
back
pictures?
seat. Yeah.
Really?
I have some pictures. I've got stuff.
We need to see this.
Yeah.
I got pictures of me in like the 80s gear, like fluorescent this, standing next to
that's
like
awesome.
the old 4-play sand car and a bunch of just even Corey Mack stuff. I mean, that's like when I had Corey Mack in studio, that's like talking to one of my idols. And I kept saying that. I was like, I mean, our names are the same, are spelled the same way. We both started in Volkswagens.
That's
He
cool.
lived not far from where I grew up. So I was like, oh man, like trying not to fanboy a little bit, but no, it's just that's what's so fun about this thing is there's so many facets to the hobby because you could be into the cowlick scene, you could be into the resto scene, you could be into buses or Type 3s or whatever it may be, but we're all still in the same group.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's funny. I was trying to explain to somebody how if you're into Volkswagens and you are going to make a trek across the country or around the world, it is pretty cool that you can go online. If anything happens to your car, you break down or whatever, there are people that have posted their name and address and phone number, and they've said, if you happen to be coming through this part of town and you need anything, these are the services that I offer to you. Which, I mean, it's like, that's camaraderie, man. I mean, that is so cool.
I didn't get that when I kept breaking down in the RV driving from South Carolina towing the Volkswagen. Brutal.
Well, it's the RV. See, there's no community for the RV.
There's what there was.
Should have been on the
community
Volkswagen.
for. It was swiping the credit card was good for that. But,
Now I know, but it's interesting. Speaking of hobby dubbies, I mean, obviously, Shin goes around the world, and it's just well, gosh, you tell them it's hard to pack everything in every single month and trying to keep up with anything and everything. But did you say something about like if there's anybody that's ever got an eye for photography to?
Yeah, I'm the only in-house editor, and lots of freelance contributor works for the Hot Video magazine, like Alex Platform Media and Stefan Zantai, and lots of talented photographers always submit nice feature story and anything interesting related Volkswagen. So if you believe you have a good eye shooting something, capture something crazy, interesting, wonderful story, You are more than welcome to be part of Hot Video Magazine. Submit your stuff, and we get published. So
You heard it-
I'm
you heard
always
it
looking
first.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be rad.
Yeah.
Where
Where
are
do
we
they
having
send?
them send it, the submissions to?
Email to info@hotbws.com. Yeah, and we are always looking for something, crazy story. Yeah, like
Yeah,
to share.
we don't need you out making any jackass films or anything, but they'll always take it. Take some good.
And doesn't have to be shiny showcard. Patina, anything.
Barn finds, cool stuff.
Yeah, Survivor. Yeah, it's any project. Yeah, just anything. Yeah, so.
It's always cool, I mean, it's funny, some of the things that you hear about and that you see, and I mean, it's 2020, but it's always a trip to think, man, just when you thought you were not going to find anything else, or just when you thought, no way, that's not going to happen, it happens. And you're going, what? So it's like, okay, I guess I got to keep knocking on doors.
That's it. I mean, if you really go back to what you kind of started with about the guy that is in orange and doesn't really know, most of those guys sometimes just forget, or the generation behind them just doesn't care about their grandpa's old V-dub in the garage that's been there since the.
I'll tell you one thing that's kind of cool. There's a gentleman that I met not too long ago, and I remember as a kid talking about geeking out on stuff when you were a kid. I remember seeing this guy drive around Orange, and he had a single cab, and he also had a bug. And anyway, I remember I had met him one time and started talking about the industry now and shows and stuff. And in fact, I think Gary Berg was talking about having taken him because he met him and started talking to him. A lot of people had tried to talk to this guy before, and he was kind of a recluse. Mm-hmm. And then Gary Berg actually approached him, and the guy knew the name Berg, and he actually took him to an event and just really opened his eyes to, wow, check it out, the VW scene is alive and well. And so it's like, if you know anybody from back in the day that's kind of like, oh, I used to have blah, 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 and take them, invite them, or like me, I'd take my car by a senior center nearby, and you see these folks that are just hanging out on a bench, and sadly it looks like they've got nothing to do.
Yeah.
I pull up in a high roof, and they just start looking at this thing like, what is that?
What kind of ice cream truck is that?
Yeah, and well, the sad part is because I've got the ambulance, I don't take that one.
Yeah, that'd be
you don't go to senior center in that.
That's a bad.
What? Yeah. But no, it is cool. It is always funny opening up those doors. In fact, I remember Ron, who used to work at Wolfsburg West years ago. He used to tell me that whenever he went to a gas station, he was actually kind of burned out on people asking him or sharing a story with him. He said he had to just kind of like park and walk, make a beeline, pay for your gas, pump in like $4 just to get out of there, because he had a Zwitter. Original paint, original interior, yeah. And so it's kind of funny how you have to get to that point, I guess celebrity status.
You know what's interesting too, and one of the things you touched on is that the hobby and the VW scene is alive and well.
Yep.
And that was one of the things that people were almost in shock that are not in it at PRI. You guys still making Volkswagen stuff, and everybody's looking at the carburetors thinking, where's the ejector at? I mean, they just, and that's the younger crowd always, these are just throttle bodies, and then the older gentlemen or people will just start looking at, what, it's really still build stuff. It's like, yeah, man, we're, to be honest, we're 300,000 square feet here, 100 employees, and we're busy. I mean,
yeah.
And so it's just, the community, when we go to the events, seems so big, and we're so seeing everybody, but in a small scheme of things, it is just such a small niche amongst the entire automotive culture.
I always think it's funny telling people, oh yeah, I went to the VW Drags last weekend. They're like, what do you mean VW Drags? Well, it's not a drag queen in a Volkswagen. No, it's actually cars zipping down, racing. They're like, VW bug? And then I'll show them a video, and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, oh yeah.
Has that got a Porsche motor in it?
That's a Corvair. That's a Corvair. You guys are making Corvair parts now, right? No?
Yeah, bro. Stop it! You're getting us in trouble.
No, it's interesting opening up people's eyes to that, and they're just blown away. Like, which cover was it that we had the bug from Puerto Rico? The
Oh, okay. That was a November issue, I think.
I think it's
that thing's
crazy.
insane.
Yeah, the motor unveil for their new motor was a PRI.
They were
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
my God.
I posted it a couple times and just different stuff. That thing is just, it's a billet block of just gorgeous, just machine work, and even the cut paths get intoxicating, for a horsepower guy like myself, or just like some nerd out on things like, oh, I could just stare at it like, oh, I could detail paint this. And
That's crazy stuff. Man.
So it's just cool. And just
Yeah.
It's cool because we're trying to evolve, and we're trying to push envelopes, and we're trying different things because it's still at the end of the day, it's just an old Herbie,
But you know what? You know what I love about it is the fact that you can do it yourself. That's the neatest thing. I mean, the other day, not to bash on my wife's car, but I had to back this thing up because I was in the red. I was parking this thing, but there was a guy behind me that was just slightly moving his car because he was parking behind me. And I go to put this thing in reverse, and it won't let me go in reverse, man. This car will not let me go in reverse. And I keep saying, caution, there's somebody behind me. I'm like, I know, I just got to go a foot, and it won't let me do it. And I'm revving it, and she's like, what are you doing in my car? I go, I'm just trying to go in reverse. And I'm thinking, I hope it doesn't go in reverse.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
smash
launching.
But I was just so pissed, and I'm like, you know what? This would never happen in my bus.
Yeah.
First of all, it's hard to get in reverse.
Yeah,
but
blind
still,
spot and trying to turn your neck.
Yeah, but still, So no, I love the fact. I grew up in Guatemala, and I grew up with Volkswagens. And so for me, it was always riding in my uncle's panel bus, or riding in my other uncle. He had a little bit more money, and he was in a deluxe 70s bus, that really cool avocado green, and anyway. And I always loved the fact that these cars, you could do them yourself. And I got into it in high school, and so it's fun, it's a blast, and I love it. And I love the fact that kudos to you guys and all the companies that are making new and exciting stuff. I mean, when I sit there and we're going through the magazine, it's just amazing how much this hobby has evolved. Yeah. In what it actually offers. And so, it's funny. Like for me, like I mentioned Disney, I've been involved for so many years. People always say, don't you ever get bored of it? Not when it's evolving and it stays exciting. It's really cool,
Like Star Wars.
Yeah, like Star Wars. I got to ride the new ride.
Off air talks.
Yeah. Anyway, very cool.
And the neat part, just kind of piggyback on what you're saying, is it's not just performance stuff. I mean, we're a performance founded company essentially, but you go to other businesses out in the industry, and they're remaking window rubbers, or they're making sheet metal. They're making, and the quality is increasing because everybody's raising the bar now.
It's crazy what is available now, and which is interesting because going back, let's say 25 years ago, I mean, I do bow to some of the people that restored their cars where they didn't have certain replacement parts, and you either had to make it on your own or go find a donor or something. I mean, you had to seriously MacGyver. Can we say MacGyver?
Yeah.
MacGyver this stuff.
It's free fun, baby. Yeah. Say what you want. But then on the flip side, think about how many good cars were cut up for pieces.
Oh yeah.
That could have been totally salvageable. It's just what's left of the body tag. It's just like another
body
wasted.
tags are worth money.
Yeah, I mean, right now, literally, I was talking to my dad on Sunday at DKK because we're trying to find like a clean 58 pan with the right body tag just to get his car right. And it's a search,
Yeah.
It's a
Wait, 58 you said?
yeah.
I know where I could get a 58.
Oh.
What? What year's your car?
Mine's 58.
Oh, there we go.
I got a grinder.
Yeah, I won't borrow.
Yeah, the prestigious award-winning machine.
Chisel it up. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you won an award.
This guy's up here winning
Congratulations.
awards on Sundays.
What was it? The Club Choice?
DKK.
DKK Club Choice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, by the way, kudos to the guys from DKK. What an awesome event that was.
Yeah.
Great way to kick off the year.
Packed. Weather couldn't have been better. Wasn't too hot. Cool spot. Everybody was just, they wanted to dust their cars off and get them out and drive them.
I know.
Some people were a little anxious leaving the parking lot. I mean, it's pretty cool to see. Reminds me of some certain times, but
Yeah.
it was good to see everybody. And there was a plethora of cars out there, and it wasn't just cowlook cars. It was everything. I mean, I did see the random Type 3 Gia over in the corner too. It was kind of cool to see.
That's cool.
But man, there's so many cool things going on. I mean, we could talk for hours about it. I'm kind of curious. Tell me a little bit more about the Indonesia thing before we kind of wrap it up. I mean, I was just watching between you guys and Gary Bergs and Fleming and everybody, just like watching all the events. It was like a spectacle every day. It was something new.
It was unbelievable. First of all, once you got there, Ron Fleming and Gary Berg, they were there, and they were actually working on this motor. And
Yantos.
yeah, it was Yanto's motor, but you probably know more of the details because it was a Gene-Berg kit that he
The
bought.
motor was an old Gene-Berg NOS kit, so and the Yanto was looking for the build motor, so he invited Ron Fleming and Gary to build the motor. It was like a dream.
Can you imagine, dude?
I remember right before they were leaving, they were talking about putting some parts and carry down there.
They have to carry some of the tools.
Yeah.
We all took parts, which was crazy. We all muled parts to Indonesia, which was crazy. And I think Ron Fleming actually won because he muled a couple 16-inch rims. I mean, he muled stuff that wasn't part of the build. But, it was pretty interesting. I think I took some rubber. I think you got a wiring harness. And anyway, but it was a trip. Watching these two guys actually build a motor and then firing it up, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was like, and things that we take for granted, just even doing it on a stand. I mean, it was like it was done on a couple of 2x4s on the floor. And,
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that you figure you're on the other side of the world. You don't exactly have access to the machine shop. I mean, it's crazy what you take for granted here.
Yeah.
And you can run down the street, go get this mill or this machine shop, blah blah blah. These guys were actually creating, talking about MacGyvering stuff, their own tools to use on part of the build because they didn't have it. And so Gary said, we actually made this, and Ron was joking around saying, this isn't just a socket, this is also a punch, this is also a this is also, I mean, it was really funny, it was like the Sledge-matic. And
nice.
exactly. I think I'm aging myself on that one.
I knew just that because I knew it.
Thank you. But no, it was a trip. They did the motor, and then from there, like I said, there were from early cars, the barn door. There were the Porsche, the RWBs. I mean, there were some cars there that were a couple $100,000 cars. Ron was actually driving one of those RWBs.
Yeah,
there were T3s. There were.
He has like a 50 Volkswagen Porsche. Yeah, one of the biggest, VW collector in Indonesia.
Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. And so the coolest part was when we got to the show, when you're talking about, the presentations and just how much they really go off on these things. When we got there, they had a welcome dinner, they had welcoming ceremonies, and I mean, we're talking, it was like United Nations type of stuff, flags and everything, just amazing dinner. And then when after the dinner, we ended up leaving the next day was a show, and it was in this huge convention center. And it was actually really interesting to see the fact that, you're there and you forget that they're on the other side of the street, so everything's right-hand drive. And so, which was really cool. So, tons of bay windows, right-hand drive bay windows, and I'm just going, what? And then double slider, walk-through, double flipper seats.
Everything's buses that he's bringing out.
I
see a pattern forming here.
all the way to a handcrafted bus. Like, they made a bus from scratch, and not like, we're going to buy these panels from these guys and weld them together. No, they handcrafted, hammered a whole bus out. I'll have to show you a picture. And I was looking at this and going, no way. And they made it a walkthrough. And anyway, just really cool stuff. But it was really neat to see the amount of cars that were inside, the process of everybody being invited into the show. They had a swap area. One of the coolest things was the fact that they really seriously had a very strong family contingent. You saw a lot of families that went there. Tons of cars outside that couldn't be inside. So it was a huge show on the outside as well. And just a bunch of people with their kids hanging out. And when they had kid activities, we actually learned quite a bit from that show that we can adopt here. And Gary Berg and I were talking about it and thinking, man, these guys have really raised the bar. And there's some really cool things that we could do here, for future shows. The crazy part is that the show goes from 10 to 10, I think it was.
Midnight.
I was like, oh my god, dude, I was tired. They fire up cars in the convention center. I'm like, yeah, this would never fly back home.
Yeah.
You mean there's gas in the tank? You know, I mean, you know, from seeing all the rules of, you can't have this, you can't have that.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. And then we actually had the opportunity to present awards. We got to choose the cars that we felt were the Hobby W's award. There was the Air Mighty award. There, you know, and so it was really, really cool. And we actually picked, of all cars. Want to guess what kind of car we picked?
I guess it'll be a bus.
No, that's a Super Beetle.
Really?
Yeah, super cool.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Really cool. But anyway, so you'll see coverage when we actually go ahead and you know, publish it. But it was amazing, and the neatest thing was, like I said, first and foremost, the people. The people are amazing, super cool. The hospitality, the food, the cars are a trip. The cars. Yeah, one of the things that we saw down there, I still can't remember if it's original, the Type 34 convertible.
You mean the Type 64?
No. Well, that was a trip too. There was a handcrafted Type 64. Okay, that somebody made. But no, remember that convertible Type 34? Yeah, that was a trip.
That was actually a replica, right? They
I don't
had
know.
made everything.
Dude, it was just unbelievable. You're just walking around going, how much time do you have on your hands?
Wow.
But yeah, anyway, it was an incredible show, and I love telling people about it because, you know, there are a lot of shows that take place, you know, around the country, around the world, but take the time to actually, you know, go for it, man. You know, I mean, in 2005, I remember Shin and I, we were, you know, not as close of friends as we are now, but I remember calling him. I was at the airport. I just wanted to do something crazy, do something different. And my buddy Dave was turning 50, and I thought, I'm going to go to a car show in Japan, but I want to take my own car. And so I called him from LAX. I was getting ready to go to Canada for some Disney thing. Then I said, hey, Shannon, when's the next show in Japan? He goes, oh, in December, there's a big show. And I'm like, wow, December? Yeah, okay, cool, I want to go, but I want to take my own car. Dude, I took my own car. I shipped it over there. It's actually cheaper than you think. It was $1,200 to ship it over there. Wow. Took a 67 Beetle, and it was, God, what was it, $1,200 for both Dave and I to actually fly over there, round trip. And it was awesome. I mean, it was a lifetime thing. But so I always tell people, look, do it, man. Either do it by yourself or do it with a friend. It doesn't cost a ton of money to actually do something, you know, that will, you know, it's a memory that'll last a lifetime. And it's really cool. And you'll be amazed by the people that will actually take you under their wing when you get over there, and they will hook you up, they'll take care of you, whatever you need. Yeah. Anywhere in the world. That's Volkswagen people from what I've found.
That's awesome. I mean, that's almost verbatim what I said about the EVI thing. It's just, that's the best thing I can compare it to. And I know I talk about it all the time, and I keep bringing it up because that's literally was a trip of a lifetime for me. You know, to be able to go, to be able to be a part of it, to sit and enjoy stuff, and to do it with my dad. That was pretty rad.
That's super cool.
You know, I mean,
yeah,
traveling hotels and meeting people, but the hospitality was just second to none. Shout out to those guys again. I know that they listen, they follow us on social media. I know I got the email from them this morning. They're coming over in May.
So, all right.
Awesome. We got to start planning 2021.
Oh,
wow. So, speaking of which is funny because I'm wondering if some of those guys are some of the guys that actually brought their own cars last year.
Yeah, so those guys are planning on doing it again.
I think this year. Yeah,
it's I guess the house is already rented and everything else, so be prepared for a pretty wild summer, man. I can't wait. Especially now building a relationship with them and going. I've been to their shop and it's right there on the border of France, right? So it's just really cool,
dude.
Man. And like the swap meet stuff and this I couldn't even just like scrounging around in there was so cool. It's like, oh, semaphores, split window stuff, like make your head spin over this. It's insane.
I love walking around the swap meets. Probably the coolest thing that I ever found one time at Bad Camberg was I looked at this thing. It looked like picture the microphone, but you know, two-headed microphone. And I'm looking at this thing going, what is this thing? And it had a wire coming out of it, you know. And the guy said, oh, it's an accessory. It's a sausage warmer. And it was a cigarette lighter. I thought, how far do you guys drive that you got to warm your, you know, I'm like, what? And I said, that's really cool. And he's like, it's 500 euros. And I'm like, not that cool. I'm like, yikes. like wow. But yeah,
So you guys plan on doing the
cool.
Indonesia show? Is it every year they do that one?
The Indonesia show
Every
yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, every 2 years. Yeah, and the invitation was already extended before we left. They want us to come back and possibly even MC it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah, you should come over next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
seriously.
I
Get a booth.
I would love to. So if the invitation's there, let us know. We'd love. I would personally would love to go.
Be rad.
It's just the SEMA time is difficult, but luckily the dates are changing, so there might be some flexibility.
Oh, they are.
Well, SEMA rotates. You know,
Okay.
like it's normally on Halloween for.
Oh, right.
and
Yeah.
it's like next year
That's
it's
last
already
year,
on. Yeah, it was right around the same time. I think we're like the 3rd through the 7th now next in 2020 this year. So, but yeah, man,
Cool.
it was super cool. I mean, we could talk about the cars we love so much,
I
but
know.
you know, I'm stoked, guys. If you haven't seen the new issue, it's here,
Yeah.
and you know, I can't forget about on the back the new stuff. Got my shameless plug for
Now,
Empi
hey
right
man,
now.
you know what? Okay, shameless plug, you guys. It's only $2.91, 46 cents still. You know, to go ahead and subscribe. I mean, it's really. I mean, it's amazing when you think about print. You know, print media these days. Our magazine has been around for 53, going on. You know, I mean, it's just
53 years.
crazy how long we've been around, and it's basically because we've got a loyal readership, and a lot of people don't know we also have the digital version as well. So if you don't want to look at it on print, you can look at it on one of these or on your tablet. But the cool thing is that people that actually read it, people that actually follow us and so forth, it's because of your passion that, you know, adds fuel to the fire for industries like you guys and us to go ahead and continue to, you know, dive in more and actually search more and bring you really, really cool stuff. And, you know, I got to tell you, when I sit there, like yesterday, and going over the March issue and looking at some of the pictures, I always look over the wall and I go, dude, where'd you get this picture? I want this photo. You know, I'm like, of course they were barn doors, but you know, I'm
Shocking.
yeah, I know. But it's so cool, and so thanks to everybody out there that actually shares stuff with us, and you know, we want to keep hearing from you guys, and thank you for your support. You know, for so many years.
This is what it's all about. I mean, this podcast or live stream, whatever you want to call it, it's designed to create, you know, a harmonious relationships between all of us. You know, we've extended invitations to several, and we got some really cool stuff, you know, happening about other people. But we just want to keep it going. You know, we want to get you guys in here. We got Sacchetti in here. We got Corey Mack. I mean, the laundry list of people. I mean, I want Fleming in here, and Dean Kirsten, and I mean, we've talked about it. Those guys are, you know, up for it. So we just want to continue that. So that because
Totally.
we've got to share it with the people that are not so close to you guys. I mean, guys, we're 15 minutes apart.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't have that benefit. And the only time they see you is at a show, and trying to get this guy to stop at a show to not take 12,000 photos
I know.
is demanding. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're on Facebook, there is a good little private group of photos of Shin taking photos.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I add you and encourage you to continue to help grow that Facebook
Find him,
page.
take a picture of him, post it.
Yeah,
It's
take a
great.
picture of him taking a photo. It's,
Yeah.
And usually the best candid moments. So.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. One of the things that you reminded me of when you're talking about, you know, some of these older guys that you get the chance to interview and talk to, and if you guys see them at shows, go talk to them, because one of the interesting things that is happening is that there's this paradigm shift where you're getting a lot of the people that have so much knowledge that unfortunately they're passing on.
Yeah.
And it's sad, you know, when you think about it. That's why it's so cool that you went with your dad to EBI. You know, it's sad that, you know, hindsight, you think, man, I wish I would have, I wish I could have. And, you know, so when you actually have the opportunity to talk to them or to go ahead and record them, you have an opportunity to lock them in time and with stories. Or, you know, one guy that I always think about that where I learned everything about building motors, John Chabot from Top Line. Guy's been around for like 40 plus years. And he was always so cool to go ahead and share information with you. I used to take time off and say, all right, dude, you got me for 2 weeks. What do I do? And he goes, go tear down those long blocks. What? Okay. Well, I learned how to take a motor apart and then how to put it back together. But all that information, you know, it's just too bad. I'm sure they'll figure it out someday, how to put an SD card in someone's head, download everything, you know. But otherwise you can't. But this is cool. So thank you for having us and giving us the opportunity to go ahead and share just a scotch, a dusting of some of the stuff that we get to have fun with.
Yeah, sometimes it's cool just to sit down. Like you talk about driving in the car and in a Volkswagen and just sit down, but it's a good chance for us to really break away from the daily stuff that we're cranking away stuff. By the way, new website coming for Empi. So we're diligently working on stuff, but just take an hour and a half. Talk about what we're working on. Talk about the things that we want to do together.
Yep.
What advertisement we want to put in, but just not just business, but how's Eddie? How's the family? How's Shin? Congrats on the award. And how was lunch? Just we need to do more of that. It's one of the things that I'll give Dominic Lapino a shout out, because I know he used to go by Grinders like every Saturday morning and hang out at Dave Grinder's shop for a little while. A few of them, like that was like their spot to hang out. And it's just cool because those guys were guys that I look up to and respect, and just to see that we need to do things like that. And swing by your shop and look inside the delicious refrigerator every once in a while.
Yeah.
But it's just awesome. And again, thank you guys so much for just coming in and hanging out and shooting the breeze for an hour.
Our pleasure.
It's been a blast. But a lot of cool stuff happening for us. Today we opened the JC retail showroom. So
we got to see it firsthand.
Yeah, for those of you who are local, or if you're traveling, I encourage you to stop in. JC has their retail showroom, much like they did at the Santa Ana location, just stocked to the gills, something that was maybe sometimes troubling to keep the inventory up, but now we've just been building and building and building and building, so it's stocked to the gills with pretty much at least one of every single thing that Jack makes, and it's,
I already saw something I want, so
no problem. 10 over retail. but yeah, that's been happening. Gosh, man, there's so much stuff going on. We've got the Triple Crown Series award banquet this weekend. Yeah, Sunday. So there's just so much stuff, and it's like barely January. I'm already looking like February issue's already out. I'm already thinking about it.
I know. In fact, the people that are actually listening and watching, one of the things that I highly suggest is stay on top of the calendar of events. Just because. The SoCal VW week in June.
Yep. Lots of stuff happening there.
There's almost too much happening. It's just insane. Going and going and going. It's usually like 10 days of tons of events and stuff.
You'll be able to count the bloodshot in Shin's eyeballs by the time that gets there Sunday.
Yeah.
So guy, kicks off with just the week prior to Prado with Octo and
the RVA
Cruise and the RVA stuff. Just so much stuff, and then you've got Prado
open houses.
Yeah, so open house potentially pending. So we're working on a Friday night gig here, Friday, June 12th. If everything goes as well planned, mark it down now, and stay tuned because we're gonna work out some details, stuff like that. But my goal is to make it like Nick's of old. I want to pack this house. I want to bring everybody into our home again like we did earlier in the summer last year, and then just really have a good spot for us to hang out on a Friday. It's a Friday, so get a good parking spot early, hopefully is the plan, and we'll go till we want to shut it down. But
which would be great. Stay up all night and then come to our Cars and Coffee the next day.
Yeah, just go right there.
We'll open at the Saturday morning.
Saturday morning Cars and Coffee then, and Sunday's Prado, so it's definitely, two solid weeks.
And then Monday is rehab, right? Yeah.
Everybody's going to the clinic for some IV bags.
Dude, I know. Yeah, that's fun.
But just, again, stay up to date. A lot of cool stuff happening. I'm going to leave you with one cliffhanger, though, right now. Definitely stay up to speed on our social media, Empi Insider, on Facebook and Instagram, and Empi Inc. on Facebook and Instagram, as well as these guys, Hot V-Dubs on Facebook and Instagram. We have something really, really cool in the works. I don't want to say it yet, as much as Shin is kicking me under the table to tell him. I can't do it, but we're working on something that these guys are going to document the build of and potentially the release of, or something along those lines. But we're going to have some fun. Stay tuned. But it's going to be an awesome project. It's one of the reasons why we're here.
It's going to be really cool.
It's going to be really, I can't even talk about it. It's going to be cool.
It's going to be awesome, and I think it's all going to be rooted in what you've been talking about and the whole community and bringing everybody together. So definitely stay tuned, you guys, because it's going to be one heck of a collaboration.
Yep. One last thing before we get out of here. Again, thank you guys so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Next week, guys, on site at the Schley Brothers Museum. I am sitting down with the Schley Brothers
Oh.
live in studio, actually at the Schley Museum,
Oh, that's
recorded. We talk about spending time with the some of the best guys in the industry, man.
That's cool.
And
That's
we
really
get to do it in their museum. We'll do a walk around. We'll do a tour. We're gonna talk stories.
Oh,
We're gonna
wow.
talk racing. We'll even invite this guy to come and document it. I'm sure he won't want to miss out on that one.
Might take a couple pictures.
But yeah, just stay tuned. Next week, next Tuesday, 3:00, same bat time, same bat channel. You know what's up. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. See you.